I think I'll redirect you to my friend. I think he'll say a few points. Hopefully he can like make you think a little different.
Okay.
Hey, how's it going? You hear me?
Yep.
So, what do you mean that plant-based diets are more expensive?
Let me have. Look, I have tried to, for instance, eat. I purchased beans. I purchased a blender actually, specifically for this to make burritos. I really like burritos, like specifically bean burritos. And I got to tell you, like I haven't really gotten much use of a blender because beans are so expensive here in Canada that I I can't seem to help but to purchase meat for the burritos because or for just kind of not even be able to make these burritos because it's just so expensive for these beans.
Okay, so what do you think like the poor of the poor eat? Like what are the cheapest foods around you in your area?
Um, Probably some kind of canned foods, probably, but that's not very healthy for you.
Yeah, so would you say like canned beans, lentils, and what about rice, like grains, stuff like that, pasta? Is that food expensive?
No, it's not, but I have to have protein. I can't have like just be eating, rice and pasta. I mean, there's no protein in that for me.
Yes, you can actually. All the essential amino acids that we need to survive can all be found in plants. As long as you're eating enough calories, you won't have any protein deficiency issues. Like if you look up the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics statement on plant-based diets, they came to the conclusion, according to all the available evidence, that plant-based diets are not only nutritionally adequate, but they are healthful. That and they throughout all stages of the life cycle. So for pregnancy, childhood, adults, athletes, so long as you're eating enough calories and you're supplementing B12, you won't have any problems.
I mean, you're talking about um, like vegetables, like because with pasta too, there's not a whole lot of nutrients in pasta or rice.
Yeah,
In vegetables around
obviously,
here, it's very expensive.
I'm not advocating for just eating pasta, but just a balanced diet of different plant-based foods like grains, uh, uh, for example, like rice and uh, uh, legumes like lentils and beans, and also
Those are very
vegetables
expensive.
or root vegetables like potatoes or sweet potatoes or stuff like that. Uh, uh, so you're saying it's expensive,
It's
all those
extremely
foods.
expensive for vegetables. Well, I mean, like you don't want to have too many root vegetables because that spikes your blood pressure, your blood sugar. I wouldn't want to eat like a ton of potatoes every day. Certainly greener vegetables, I can agree with you. They're packed with vitamins, minerals, and protein, but they're very expensive. I just spent a whole bunch of money, probably about $50 on broccoli and cauliflower, and I didn't get that much. I mean, I might have gotten maybe a week's worth. I
Okay, so
ate a
let
lot
me
of
ask you something.
vegetables. Yep.
So let's say we were to replace all the animals that you're currently eating right now with humans. Let's say you discovered right now, oh, actually, all along, there's actually humans that are being holocausted and put on your plate. Would you stop consuming those humans and switch to a plant-based diet right now?
No,
You would
because it was
continue to
if
pay for humans to be murdered?
if it was if it was like I don't think it's going to be the case. I mean, like there is like lab grown meat, so that's technically would be human. But I think that's like kind of a hypothetical out of left field there. I don't think that's
No,
going
no,
to have much precedence.
I'm just trying to test your value. So you don't think it's a moral obligation to go vegan because you claim that it is a little bit more inconvenient or expensive. I don't think that's the case. I don't think
Very,
that's
very
true.
inconvenient. And
At least where I live is extremely easy and cheap to
oh
be
yeah, no,
vegan.
there's
I'm a
I
broke college student,
oh
but
yeah.
I'm just trying to test your consistency here. So you're saying you're not gonna go
Where do
vegan
you live in
because it's a little
America?
Puerto Rico.
Yeah, Puerto Rico has like there's lots of like if I was in Puerto Rico, I could be a vegan, definitely.
Yeah. So, but the question is, let's say, the same situation you're in right now, except it's humans that are being holocausted and for food instead of animals. Would you stop paying for the human holocaust and try to be vegan, even if you have to sacrifice a little bit of extra money?
I mean, yeah, obviously if it was humans, I'd have to be a vegan, right? Like that's insane. But I just don't think like it's a very wildly hypothetical, like we're certainly not eating humans, and I don't condone eating of human flesh. But like that's kind of out of left field, like that's
Yeah,
not.
I'm just trying to test your consistency and explore your values here. So you would immediately go vegan if you were eating humans.
I'd have
Okay,
to.
so
I would
my
have.
question.
I think it's unhealthy to eat humans.
Well, let's say it
Be
wasn't. Let's say it
cruel.
was equally. Let's say it was equally as healthful or unhealthful. I don't know if you think eating animal products is healthy. I don't. But let's say it was as equal to eating other animals. Would you say it's fine then because it's healthy to eat humans?
Well, no, because it's a moral implication. I mean, humans are like for instance, I wouldn't eat whales. I wouldn't eat any form of whales. Pretty much any porpoise. I wouldn't eat. I wouldn't eat a horse. I wouldn't eat horse meat. I wouldn't eat like lots of types of animals. I would not eat. I would not be. And I'm also not okay with people eating like horses or porpoises or whales and these types of animals. Like I'm not cool with that at all. So there are forms of non-human animals that I am totally against eating and would never eat.
I think you're being a little bit speciesist there with picking and choosing some animals and not others. But I'll just stay with humans and the animals that you currently eat for now. So what's true of animals that if true of humans would make you think it's immoral to uh, let me rephrase that question. Like, what's the morally significant difference between us and animals that justifies an animal holocaust for the kind of food that you eat, but not a human holocaust?
Well, we're all animals. We're all forms of life, and we all deserve respect. But at the same time, like for instance, like chicken doesn't have a very complex brain, and because of that, I'm just not going to feel the same thing when I kill a chicken as I would with a human, as the
Okay, so
brain is more
would you
capable
say
of
that
suffering.
some humans don't have complex brains either? Like, let's say a very mentally disabled human, would it be okay
They're still
to
very, but they're
kill and
still
eat?
very far more intelligent than like a chicken, right?
Well, that would be an empirical question. Like, they might be humans out there that are on the same level as a chicken. Like, why not? Like, it's
I
possible,
suppose a
certainly
vegetable,
possible.
yeah, a vegetable, yeah.
No, not a vegetable. Let's say a human that was very mentally disabled and could do the same sort of things a chicken can do. The person could eat. They can socialize with other humans, but not as complex as the way we socialize. But let's just say they valued their own family. They stuff like that. Would you say it would be okay to murder and eat that person? And let's say that person had the same cognitive abilities as a chicken.
No, well, that's obviously because they have the form of a human. It would be pretty. Plus, you would be setting a precedent where it might potentially be okay to start eating like humans that are obviously not suffering these disabilities. But the same could be said for me with horses. Like I also, like I said, I'm just not willing to. Even if the horse was like in a situation where it was somehow more morally acceptable to other people, I would still not eat a horse. I would not eat, these other types of porpoises, whales. Again, like I say, it's just dependent upon the brain is the main factor for me. Like if
Okay,
the
and that would be actually a logical contradiction. So you said that the morally significant difference between us and animals that justifies the differential treatment is the complexity of the brain. I found you an
yeah,
example with a human with very severe mental disabilities or brain disabilities or whatever, and you said it would still be wrong. So that would actually entail a contradiction there. So you would either have to change your response there or just accept like contradiction, or what would you say there?
Like I said, like the thing there is that like if we were to start eating these people who have this kind of handicap, this disability, like it could set a precedent where it might be okay to start eating um, more, people who aren't so disabled, which I would find immoral because on that ground.
Wait, what do you think is wrong to set a precedent for what?
Eating, like, for instance, you're saying like these people, it might be hypothetically uh, as moral as eating these people because they have, unfortunately, this disability, which lowers their intelligence to that of the same as most animals. The thing is that they still look like a human, and if you eat a human, you're going to set a precedent where you're going to, potentially encourage the eating of humans who don't have these disabilities. So even if I were to say that's morally acceptable to eat that human, it would
Oh, okay,
still
I get what you're
this
saying. Okay,
precedent.
can
Yeah.
I okay, so what you're saying there is that those humans with mental disabilities don't won't have, like, according to you, they don't have direct moral value. They only matter in as much as they set a precedent for killing other humans.
Well, I mean, like they themselves are human, yeah. So you definitely, like I said, I'm against eating human flesh. That's abhorrent. I can't do that,
Okay, okay, so
even if they are like
that
that.
would entail a contradiction, because you said that the thing that differentiates the two cases is the complexity of the brain, but even humans with less complex brains, you wouldn't be in favor of eating them. So I just ask you the same question again. What's true of animals that, if true of humans, would make you have that same attitude towards the human case?
I mean, that's a massive hypothetical, right? Like I don't think you can provide me a human who has a lower intelligence than say the average animal. It's gonna be tough to do that. Like
Do you eat
most
pigs? Do
humans
you
are.
eat pigs?
I try not to. Um,
Okay, so you
I
do eat
usually
pigs
don't eat pigs.
sometimes. Do you know that
Yeah,
pigs are estimated to have the intelligence of about a 3-year-old child, if I'm not mistaken?
yeah.
So would you be okay with eating 3-year-olds?
Well, in a certain sense, like they have the same intelligence as a 2-year-old, but the thing is that it's not on certain levels. Like it's not exactly the same. And also, the pig is stunted. Like they're only going to be at that stage of the 2-year-old. The 2-year-old will eventually grow up to be a functioning human that's able to have these complex feelings and what have you, and that's wrong. Um,
Okay, so let's say we found a group of 3-year-olds that, for some reason, some sort of mutation that they have, they wouldn't develop further. They would stay like that. Would it be fine to holocaust them all for hamburgers?
it would still be a humanoid. Like you're still describing. In the end, it's a humanoid. Like it still looks like a sentient life form, which again that would set a precedent that you would
Sentient?
be
What do you mean
eating.
by sentient?
Well, I mean, like very sentient on the that's they are not like
You agree that
not
animals are sentient, right?
animals are sentient to a certain degree depending on the animal more so than others, but like,
Yeah,
chicken
so by
is not
sentience,
like
by sentience, we mean capacity for subjective experience. So you agree that cows, chickens, pigs, they have a capacity for subjective experience?
they do, but it's not the same level as like say a porpoise or a whale, for instance.
Yeah, I'm not claiming they're on the same level. I'm just asking, why is it justified to holocaust them when we can just eat something else? Like, if it's not the mental, the cognitive abilities or the complexity of the brain, what is exactly the difference that makes it okay, according to you, to your from your own values,
What
to holocaust animals but not humans?
Well, like I say, like it's not necessarily that clear cut because if I lived in one of these countries where the prices of vegetables wasn't so expensive, then I would be a lot more inclined to become a vegan. And if I wasn't so poor, I would be a lot more inclined, or if I wasn't so poor, I wouldn't be a lot more inclined to become a vegan. Like there's many scenarios where veganism is definitely tenable, and it would be logical, or it would be a good option for me. But
Yeah, but you,
for
you already said, by the way, you already said that you would go vegan overnight if you were eating humans instead. So I'm just trying to figure out why do you think there's such a morally significant difference between humans and animals that would make you go vegan, that you would go vegan overnight for humans but not for animals.
I mean, an animal can't provide me the same level of like fulfillment in my life that say a human can provide me with. Like an animal just can't do that. Certainly, a dog can provide a lot of fulfillment. I would never eat a dog. I would never eat a dolphin because I have a lot of respect for them. I wouldn't eat a horse, a lot of respect for them. And also, I mean, dolphins could provide fulfillment, I guess, if you had a boat, you live by the coast. But
But by what do you mean by get, what you said get you a certain level of fulfillment? What do you mean by that?
like they're gonna offer me something in return. They're going to offer me, companionship or kind of mysticism this amazing magic, that whales have, and like a chicken just doesn't have that.
Does a cow or a pig has that?
No, because a cow doesn't really do much. It just kind of they're not like meant. They're not like super animated. They're domesticated. Like let's say like a buffalo is a lot more animated. So maybe I would have more would have less interest in eating maybe a buffalo than a cow because they're a lot more animated. But cows are not super animated creatures. They're not like any less
Well,
intelligent. They're probably more intelligent than buffaloes.
I don't know if I don't know if you're gonna accept the logical consequences of this view either. Like it's gonna get you to the same place you were earlier. What about a mentally disabled human? Can he provide you the same level of fulfillment as any other humans that you're talking about, or a purpose or something? Let's say mentally disabled human that is has the same sort of cognitive abilities as a cow or a pig.
Yes,
Would it be fine
they,
to
they,
holocaust them?
they, they do provide me with a lot of fulfillment because they still look like a human. So um, being able to take care for them would provide me fulfillment because it would kind of, even though they don't have this disability, it would still make me feel good to care for them because they are looking like a human, and that would make me feel good,
Okay,
reminding
so
me of the kind of fulfillment that I can get of other people who aren't as
so
disabled.
it's the like the shell of the human, the physical appearance, the thing you're valuing here. So let me ask you this.
Oh,
Let's say we found some sort of other species out there
yeah,
that that had other sapient beings like us,
yeah,
but
yeah,
completely different in appearance, and
hmm
then they had
yeah,
mentally disabled beings in their species as well that had
yeah,
like subjective experiences identical to the experiences mentally disabled people have uh, humans mentally
yeah.
disabled people
I know what you
have.
mean. Yeah,
Would you say it would be fine to holocaust them for food?
absolutely not. That's disgusting.
Okay, so that would be a contradiction again there. Like why not?
Because there's, like you say, they're still humanoid. They have this kind of higher
No,
functioning,
not
and
humanoid, not humanoid. They are intelligent beings, but
oh yeah,
completely
oh yeah,
different physical appearances. Like
right. But still, like they have these higher levels of functioning that you cannot kill something that is doing that. Like that's not acceptable behavior. You know?
okay, so
Totally.
what if some sort of uh disease hit the species and everybody in the species had the levels of mental abilities as disabled people from our species. It's no longer sapient, no longer able to provide the fulfillment you're talking about, completely different physical appearances. Would it be fine to then holocaust that species for burgers?
Talking about the human species.
No, this
Or
alien
this, yeah,
species.
the hypothetical. No, because I mean, like, you mean like if their kind of intelligence were to be brought down to that of say like a
Exactly.
chicken? I
let's say
mean,
not that as a chicken, not that as a chicken. They
so
would be
okay,
mentally identical to the disabled, to some of the disabled people that exist right now that have
no, that's
that
fucked up
like
because
that that
yeah, no, that's still wrong because those people, mentally disabled people, are still quite intelligent, and you can't be eating things that are that intelligent. That's totally wrong. I would not be okay with that. I would.
but when you say they're intelligent, what do you mean by that? If by intelligent and we mean say sapient or something, and we're not talking about sapient beings. We're talking about beings that like from looking at their behavior, you couldn't distinguish. You couldn't claim they have higher intelligence than a pig or a cow. You know what I mean? Those sort of people like that, very mentally disabled people that you couldn't reasonably claim they have higher intelligence than a cow or a chicken or a pig by just looking at their behavior. You know what I mean?
And this is like the alien we're still talking about. This is this kind of
No, no,
hypothetical picture.
I'm just talking about humans right now. Do you agree that there are humans like that?
Yeah, I mean, not quite. I mean, like, still, like, even mentally handicapped people are still pretty damn intelligent. I mean, I still like they still look like humans. Like, it's wrong, you know? They look like humans. They're
Exactly,
still
but
pretty
that's your
intelligent.
problem. Yeah, that's your problem. We're pretty
Yeah,
intelligent. If you say they are pretty intelligent, you have to say cows, chicken, pigs are pretty intelligent too.
they don't look like humans.
Exactly.
They're not as
So
like they don't fulfill me the way that a horse does, or the way that a dolphin or like a whale does. Like, they don't have
exactly,
this
yeah, yeah.
magic about them.
Yeah, that's why I'm asking. Let's say in that hypothetical species that their intelligence was brought down to the level of a mentally disabled human. Uh,
But I
they
knew,
don't
but
they
I
don't
knew
look
that,
they don't look. Mhm.
but I knew that this kind of species was at one point intelligent, but then the intelligence was brought down
And why does that matter?
because that's not okay. Like, because it's still like gross. Like, you'd be eating something that like at one point had a high IQ. That's disgusting. It's gross. I wouldn't do
Okay,
that.
so that's one of the requirements now. So it used to, so let's say it was like that the whole time. This species was
That's
was
disgusting. That's why you can't
this
like eat stuff that you don't know about, like especially like alien stuff. You'd have to like research it, and you have to like
okay. So
like
let's
really.
say scientists research this for a long time. They determine
Mm,
it's completely uh, 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 nutritionally adequate and healthful to eat. Okay, and
mm,
they are beings that are subjectively identical to the disabled people that we care about in our society, but they look
yeah.
nothing like us at all. What would you do?
No, it's still wrong. I wouldn't eat that. No thanks.
Why not?
This is wrong because
It
they
would
still
that would
have
be a
those.
contradiction, by the way. That would be a contradiction. The proposition that entails the contradiction is that you claim that you only care about beings that look like you. That okay, one,
No, no, no. That's
they have
just
a
one of the factors. There's other factors besides that.
okay. So what's the factor here?
Factor is that it's still a an animal that is capable of this kind of a higher level of intelligence, and that's gross. Eat something like
What do
that.
you
Like,
mean?
you're not
What do
actually.
you mean? What do you mean higher level of intelligence? We're talking
Oh,
about
oh,
beings that you.
you're, you're trying to say like a being that has the IQ of like a cow?
It has the IQ of a mentally disabled human that let's say has the IQ of a cow. Yes.
It
Eh,
basically has the IQ of a cow.
Yeah, but it has a mind identical to a mentally disabled human, but it's in a completely
Wouldn't
different body.
that's more intelligent than a cow, though, right?
No, let's say it was the same. How
Cows
why
aren't
I
that intelligent.
how do you know that? Do you know what it feels to be a cow or a mentally disabled human? How are you claiming that one is more intelligent than the other?
Because they can see the signs, like with mentally handicapped or mentally disabled people, like they have these kinds of types of behavior that are very complex, as opposed to a cow, which has very simplistic behaviors, right?
I don't know what you mean by that. They have the cows are in fact intelligent. They have they can form social bonds. They can survive in the wild. They can do all sorts of stuff that it would be pretty
Yeah,
hard to do. So what do you mean they're not
Oh,
intelligent?
certainly not as intelligent as like a disabled person. Like the cow has the ability to survive. It's a lot of it is instinct based, based on their genes, and it's just not super complicated. Like you can pretty much kind of tell what a cow is going to do based on the fact that it's so simplistic. Like its behavior is very, very simplistic. You could trick a cow a lot easier than you could trick a mentally handicapped person.
Okay, so are you claiming that no mentally disabled person has intelligence equal or lower to that of a cow?
I mean, I don't think so. I don't think so.
You don't think so, but are you claiming it's impossible or what?
I mean, it might be possible. I don't know what the hell kind of setup you'd have to like have somebody's brain who's like basically been destroyed. I mean, they'd be dead at that point
Okay,
because
okay.
you can't
It
disable the brain
won't it
enough
won't it
to.
won't it won't be that cows are not dead, so they are not dead. So you said it's possible. That's all I need for this hypothetical. It's logical
I said
possibility.
I said I said I don't think it would be possible. I think like for a handicapped person to have the same level of intelligence as a cow, like I don't think there's any way to disable the brain enough to keep that person alive. Like it's not possible.
Okay, not possible. By not possible, I take that
I mean,
to mean
unless you genetically engineered, then I'd say well that's completely immoral. Like you can't do that. I'm not for
so
genetically engineering
when you say it's
people or
impossible,
animals for that matter.
when you say it's impossible, what do you mean? In what modality is it impossible?
I just don't think that you would find a human with a brain that has been, kind of damaged or they have been born with a deficiency or some kind of just some kind of a condition where they would have the same level of intelligence as a cow. I just don't think that would be possible to find that.
Well, wait. When you say you don't think it would be, you don't think it would. It's not. You're claiming it's not likely. But when you claim it's impossible, like, what do you mean by
I don't think
impossible?
that
What's the
because
contradiction?
because the thing like the amount of I don't have the terms for this, but like the kind of brain matter that a human has, even if it's like a smooth brain, or this kind of dysfunctional brain matter, is still extremely like uh, you know, it's extremely intelligent, even with like smooth brain or disabled brain, compared to that of a cow. Like it's just there's no way you're going to be able to get this person on the same level as a cow. There's just no way. It's
And when
impossible.
you say there's it's impossible, there's no way. In what modality is it impossible? Do you know about modalities?
Um, Let me just 1 second.
Like for example, would it be impossible in a logical modality or a physical modality?
I just don't think it would be physically possible. I don't
Okay,
think that there's
physically
any
possible.
way,
What's the law of physics that it would be that it would violate?
unless and like you could theoretically do it, but you would have to genetically modify an organism, and I'm not for genetic modification of any animals.
Well, you said it would be physically impossible. What would be the law of physics that it violates?
I mean, based on the human genome, like the way that the human genome is coded and the just the sheer complexity of the human brain, it's highly unlikely that you would be able to get a human that would have the IQ of a cow unless you modified it to be so. And then you could definitely do it. There's many ways to do that, but I
Yeah.
just
So
think all those ways are highly immoral.
you said it's highly unlikely. Highly unlikely is not the same as
It's
impossible.
it's 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 highly immoral. It's highly immoral.
No. You said it's highly unlikely to find a human based on our genome that has the same intelligence as a cow. So you're changing your claim there. You claimed first that it's impossible, and now you said that it's highly unlikely.
I
So which one
mean,
is it?
I don't think it's like if they had a disability and then they had their brain damaged and then they also got like a disease that affected their brain. I guess
Yeah.
it could be possible, but that
Okay,
is
that's all
such
I need.
a
That's all I need to run the hypotheticals. By the way, so it's logical.
well, I mean
Okay,
that's
so
not
you
common.
are you
Like
Are
Yeah.
you do you admit that you retract the impossibility claim?
You're operating on a hypothetical that is just so incredibly minute. Like we're talking about 0.001% or
Yes,
0.0001%, like of the population.
and
It's
that's
just
all I need. That's all I need
we
for
we
to
we
because when I'm
we.
exploring your
Mm,
values in ethics,
yeah,
hypotheticals are very important, and you
yeah.
should be able to provide answers to logically consistent hypotheticals. So you have your values, you have your set of values.
It's kind of a
You're
disingenuous question, though,
what's the disingenuous question?
because you're trying to utilize such a minuscule hypothetical to support a very, very like a very, earth-shaking, earth-changing answer. Like it's a massive thing to say. Like we have to, um, like that a cow is the same as a human. That's a very, very complex,
I'm not claiming
very
that.
hard. Well, I mean, in terms of its value, its value as a life form. Like that's a
I'm not
very
claiming
high.
I'm not claiming that either. I'm not claiming that we have the same value. I very well admit that humans have higher value. I just don't think animals have so little value. It's okay to holocaust them for sandwiches. So again, back. So you do admit that it's logically possible and physically possible to find a human like that has the intelligence of a cow, correct?
Yeah,
Okay, so if it's
guess.
logically possible, I like according to your values, if we found humans like that and we aligned them all, would it be fine to holocaust them all for hamburgers? Your answer, I'm sure, would be no because they look like us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But they, let's say there's another species with minds identical to those humans, but
Mm,
they were never sapient at any point. That the species has had that level of intelligence since the beginning. Okay. Would it be
yeah.
okay to holocaust them all for hamburgers uh, when they have the intelligence of a cow but minds identical to mentally disabled humans?
Oh, because again, we're talking about like but you're saying, okay, hold on a second, because you're kind of changing your words. Like, but you're basically saying that you're finding this life form has basically it has the same intelligence as a cow. Is what you're saying? Because you're saying that it has the same intelligence as a human, that has the same intelligence as a cow because of whatever hypothetical reason. It basically has the same intelligence as a cow.
Yeah, because remember how we got here. We were saying that your threshold is somewhere along cows or pigs or whatever. So
Oh,
and you
yeah.
were saying that you first said that that's impossible that humans had that same level of intelligence, but then you admitted it's possible. So I'm just saying
I'm a
humans
very,
that have
very. I'm giving you like a massive fig leaf on that, because I mean it's just such a. There's not a whole lot of there might be humans like that, but there's like probably only like maybe like a couple hundred in the whole world. Like that's not a whole lot of people like that, and
yeah,
these people are
and
very sick. Yeah.
but you said you would admit that they matter
Mhm.
morally, right?
Yeah, of course, because they have the bodies of humans. They're not cows, right? They don't look like
Okay,
a cow.
they
They look
have
like a human.
they matter because of how what their bodies are.
Yeah, absolutely, because of the
So
species that they are.
okay, so let's say we found that same mind, identical minds like that in a completely different body. Would it be okay to holocaust them if you said that what matters is the body?
Well, I mean, like you say, like and like I said before, like if you live in a place that uh, there are cheap vegan alternatives, then yeah, you should probably just go vegan. Um,
That
that
wasn't an answer to the question. Like we can talk about that in a second, but can you answer the question?
I mean, like that's like yeah, if it had the intelligence of a cow, I'd have to eat its flesh if I couldn't afford to
But
eat a
the
vegan diet.
mind was subjectively identical. As like to put it into perspective, let's say you happen to be this being. You
Yeah,
are this being. You couldn't distinguish yourself from the other being. It's just the body.
yeah,
It's just the shell that inhabits that
yeah,
mind. The only thing that
yeah,
changes. You would say it's
yeah.
okay to holocaust them?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's a horrible reductio to your view. I mean, if you're fine accepting that, at least you're intellectually honest. But I think don't you think most people would hear that and say that's horrible way to think? Like, why
I
have
don't
you heard
think
about
most
the
people would
term?
be okay. I don't think most people would be okay with, giving up meat. Like I think people are going to be a lot less, you know, progressive, or a lot less, caring about animals as I am. Like they're just nowhere near. Like I
I mean,
am. I'm
that's an
somebody.
empirical claim. I don't know about that. That's an empirical claim.
Uh,
A lot of people are vegan at heart. I was vegan at heart. I when I found out I was being a hypocrite, I was abusing animals while simultaneously being against their abuse. I immediately went vegan. So a lot of people
yeah.
like
Well,
that
you
just
live
are
in
not
Puerto
aware,
Rico.
stuff
It's
like that. But again, that's uh, to get back to the point. What do you think most people when they hear something like what you just said would think that it would be okay to Holocaust beings with minds identical to the mentally disabled people that might exist in this planet right now. It might be one of their family members that they're taking care of. You think it would be fine to Holocaust them just because they inhabit another body? So what do you think about that? What you think most people would hear
I
that
don't
and
think
find
I don't
think
think they
that's
would
okay?
care, man. I think they would say people have to eat, is what they would say. Like they would have an even less, um, animal appreciative opinion as me. Like they would be far less, uh, interested in caring about animals as I am. Like that's just how it is.
Okay, so two things
Most
there.
people,
First,
um,
I just wanted to say that what the sort of thing that you're saying and the sort of values that
yeah.
you have is something called a shell morality. So what you're
Hold on a
valuing,
second.
so like,
Not necessarily,
yep.
because the thing is that, like, that's the fallacy, because of the fact that, what you're suggesting kind of like an orthodoxy, and you're claiming, like, unless you are at level 99 like I am, then you mean nothing. And that's actually not true, because what you're doing is you're hurting animals by saying that, because you're claiming that unless you're fully on board with me, and you are basically doing something that's like evil. You're hurting the potential for animal rights to be progressed, and for more animals to kind of get rid of abuse and suffering, because we don't live in a perfect world. We don't live in a hypothetical world. We live in the real world. In the
Wait.
real world, we have to.
Uh,
Hold on a second. Let me finish.
okay, sure.
We live in the real world, and
I
we
just don't
have
know.
to.
I just don't know how this follows from anything I said. I'm just confused.
It does, but just let me finish. Like the thing is that, like, you're grilling me, and I am very very on board with this, like way more than most folks. And the thing is that, like, we can't go 0 to 60. Like it takes time. It takes steps, and that's how you're going to successfully, make it from, like, I don't know what it is right now. It's certainly very low portion of people who are vegan, as opposed to people way more people who are vegan. Like you can't just browbeat people. You have to be understanding of certain, social, uh, problems, like in terms of, people not willing to accept what you're saying as, something that's meaningful. And then you have to kind of accept, like, a slow transition, as opposed to this, like, hard and fast, like, either you accept everything I'm saying or you're evil. Like that's not going to work with most people. So you want to go with what's going to win more, because you want to, your objective is to reduce the abuse and murder of animals. The thing is that, like, that's the objective, not because you're talking an ego right now. Your ego is what's more important to you than actually affecting change in terms of reducing abuse and murder of animals.
I don't know how you can claim any of that. Like, I don't think you can read my mind or anything like that. But that's
Well,
not
just the way that you're
really
talking,
what I'm
because
doing. I'm just exploring your values here. We discovered that we have fundamentally different values. I'm just saying that. Uh,
well, actually,
the,
hold on a second. No, we don't. We agree on a lot of things, and
sure, sure.
this is, again,
We
you're
agree.
showing your ego.
We
You're
might
showing your
agree.
ego again when you're saying that.
So can I finish what I was saying? So we
Go
might
ahead,
agree
sorry.
on a
Yeah.
lot of things, but the sort of values, the vegan values that I'm talking about, we disagree there. So you
Well,
I was saying earlier, you have something that's called shell morality, where you're valuing a being based on external things that have nothing to do with who they are intrinsically. So you're valuing, instead of the subjective experience itself, the sentient being itself, you're valuing random stuff like the body they're in, or something like that. And I find that abhorrent, sure, but we just have different values, and that's fine. We might I find people with different values all the time, but sometimes I find people with vegan values, because you do agree that morality is subjective, right? People might disagree about what's right or wrong.
Morality is definitely not subjective. Morality is objective, and it's basically, it has to do with natural hierarchy. It has to do with the laws of nature, and you can't really make morality change. Morality is kind of hard set, like it's hard locked on.
Okay, so when I say subjective, what I mean is mind independent. So morality
It's
only
different than
exists
saying,
where minds exist. So if there were no minds in the universe, morality wouldn't be a thing. Do you agree with that?
we live on Earth. Like you only live in hypotheticals. I live in the real world. Like even with
No, no, no,
the
no.
way that I approach veganism,
I'm just saying what I mean by subjective. By subjective, I mean mind independent. No, sorry, mind dependent. Sorry, mind independent would be objective. So do you agree that by that usage of the word subjective, morality is subjective?
no, because like I said, nothing really matters aside from natural hierarchy in terms of Earth's natural hierarchy. Like we live on Earth. Like you're a human, I'm a human. The other person that's in here, that person is also a human, and like because we're human and because we live on Earth, and we are subjected to the nature that exists on Earth. There is a certain natural hierarchy that is Earth's natural hierarchy, and we're all dependent on this. Like it's kind of just the way things are. Because based on the way gravity works here, based on the various laws of natural, scientific laws of nature, it kind of is kind of hard set. Like there's no way you can kind of have different opinions on different things, but eventually nature will kind of just come by and just smash all that, and natural hierarchy will reign again, even if it
Okay,
takes like
so
1,000 years or 2,000
that's
years.
okay, and that's a separate issue, a separate debate. But I believe morality is subjective, and all I mean by that is morality is dependent on minds. So do you agree that if I believe that morality is subjective, and in this conversation I was just trying to explore your values to see if you have vegan values, I discovered that you don't, because you think it would be fine to holocaust beings that are subjectively identical to mentally disabled humans that you admit could exist right now. Do you admit that I'm not doing anything based on ego there? I'm just trying to explore your values.
Well, when I started this conversation, I said that I am an animal rights advocate. I never said I was a vegan. I never said that. So I'm not being disingenuous or anything. My objective in regards to animals is to secure extensively more rights for them and to ensure that they are not mistreated and that they do not face torturous deaths when they are used for food. So
Okay,
we
so
have different objectives. Yeah.
but my question was like, do you agree that it's not necessarily based on ego when I'm just trying to explore your values?
I think that like there is definitely an aspect. I mean, yeah, okay, but it's important that we have people who are vegans because they are still incredibly powerful tools to gain animals' rights, which is very important to me. So yeah, no, it's not based on ego, and you are valid, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate your friend here. Um,
Okay,
it's
so
not based
I
on
just want
ego.
to.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, thank you for admitting that, because sort of seemed for a second that you were like accusing me there of like being like self-centered or something like that. But thank you for accepting that it's not
In
necessarily
the
the case.
bigger picture, yeah, the bigger picture is all ways. Like there's no one way to do things. There's many ways, and the vegan way is one of those ways. And because some people will be able to be receptive to a vegan message in regards to gaining, in regards to diminishing, at least from my perspective, diminishing abuse of animals or the kind of mindless slaughter and mindless misuse of animals for food. That's my objective.
Sure. I
And
agree with that, and
so
there's people that are receptive to the vegan message, that
yes,
have
absolutely,
vegan
and that's a
values,
good
and
thing.
we
Yep,
discovered that why exactly you don't have vegan values. We got to the core
or
of the things that you value, and it's true
or
that veganism doesn't extend logically from your values. I hope you do reflect on your values, and maybe you discover that the kind of answer that you provide tonight was problematic, and you go vegan, but.
or
Other than that, you were intellectually honest, and I appreciate that. But I just want to
no,
ask you
yeah,
something. You
so,
said you said you're an animal rights advocate, but you don't really believe in the right to life to animals.
well, I mean, like I said, like if it's dependent, that is dependent upon money. It's dependent upon the availability of uh, high quality, fresh vegetables and other types of non-animal non-animal products. If you have a very high quality amount of these types of non-animal products that you can eat, and they are providing you with the same source of nutrients, then I don't see why I wouldn't want to become a vegan. I don't. I don't live in such a place, and because of that, I have to. In my opinion, I have to, in terms of my nutritional needs, my objectives with that nutrition, I have to eat animal meat. There's no way
Okay,
around it
and I
for
hope
me.
I hope you're wrong about that. About the nutrition claims that you made. You're wrong. If you look
Mm.
at the evidence, plant-based diets are completely fine. About the money thing, that's an empirical question. I hope that you look around and you find that there's actually inexpensive vegan options around you.
My sister
But
tried it, and she has like she makes like probably clears about like 85,000 a year, and she couldn't do it. She had to start eating chicken.
and why
She was a
specifically
vegan.
chicken? What could you find in chicken that you couldn't find somewhere else?
She said to me that it was the protein.
Yeah,
Could
but
not pack
again,
in the amount of protein needed. This her words. I mean, this is not. She's a very
and
smart
and
woman
okay,
from
so that's
university
her.
educated.
Okay, but was that claimed by a doctor?
Uh, yes, because her health was getting not so good, and she went to the physician. Her physician told her that she's
She
going to
needed to
have to
eat
start
chicken.
eating chicken. Yes,
Yeah, I think that the specific physician is behind in the science. Again, plant-based diets are nutritionally adequate as long as you're consuming enough calories. You'll be meeting all your protein requirements. But I don't want to get here in a nutrition debate. But anyway, man, I appreciate the conversation.
no, it was good. It was a good conversation. Thank you for doing what you do to help to reduce the abuse and senseless murder of animals. And thank you for the conversation. Well, take care of
Thank
yourself.
you, man. Thank you, and that's my goal there. Is to defend the animals. But thank you,
Sure,
man. My
absolutely.
friend
It's an
my friend
honorable
wanted.
goal.
Thank you, my friend. My friend wanted to ask you something else, but thank you, my friend.
Take care.
All right, so I'm just bothered by the fact that you say you're an animal rights advocate, but it it doesn't make sense. I suggest you stop using that. You stop referring to yourself as an animal rights advocate because when you're oppressing the animals, you're not really advocating for anything for them. So if you're an oppressor to the animals, you cannot be an oppressor and defender.
You
You get
can
it?
because
So you,
you
you
can.
cannot, you cannot because
Right.
if
Okay.
you said the same thing with humans, humans would say that you're being inconsistent. Like
Hmm.
you either oppress us or you defend us. But there's no way to defend us like a little bit, but like also oppressed because I can only afford um to oppress you because I don't have money to not oppress you anymore. Like, and another thing that two other things that I want to say is I think you're very disconnected to animals.
I
I
am.
think
You're right.
you're
I agree with
very
you.
disconnected. Like you think animals are not sentient enough. Like they're not you said like
No.
animated or something like
Mm,
that. You said like
mm,
so you I think you should if you I'm not sure if there are any like probably I hope there are, but hope you can look up at a vegan animal sanctuary and just visit animals that are free from your oppression, that
mm,
they save them from yourself,
mm.
and then yeah, I think you'll learn a lot about animals because you think animals are like a cow will just I don't know, like I've seen a lot of videos of cows and chickens and pigs and turkeys and fish, even fish, dude. Like it's amazing. Fish are they can be friendly. I've seen a lot of animals, and I think you're very. That's why I say you're very disconnected to
Mm.
animals. And I think if
You're
you
right.
make a
I agree
connection
with
to
you.
them, you're gonna say, yeah, I think animals should live, and I'm gonna stop abusing them. I'm gonna stop eating them. I'm gonna stop being their oppressor. And the last thing that I want to say is, yeah, you lack a lot of knowledge on what actually the animals are going through. Like, I know you mentioned factory farms, but not even, it's not justifiable if the animals we're eating, we're killing, we're murdering, we're abusing. If it's like a small farm, local, like whatever, it doesn't matter. But I suggest you go to earthlinks.com. That's a documentary you can watch. It's on YouTube. But you can just go on earthlinks.com, and that's a documentary. I hope you watch that, and yeah, you visit a vegan animal sanctuary where you'll have a meaningful connection to the animals. And yeah, I hope you actually yeah stop abusing animals. Like you cannot be an animal rights advocate and abuse animals at the same time. It's hypocritical. And I hope you go vegan and reflect on your values because they're unaligned. They're very far away from your actions. Your values and actions are very different. And you cannot say you're an animal rights advocate and act the opposite of what an animal rights advocate does.
Okay.
Hey man, so I think that that was a good point. Do you think you could call yourself a human rights advocate, for example, and be in favor of like some sort of human holocaust?
No, because like, see, this is getting back to that kind of point I made. Like, there are different ways of achieving objectives, and like I do agree with your way and your friend's way because it's a very powerful way and it achieves a certain very frontal objective, a frontal attack for animal rights, and that's very important. But I don't think that everybody can take that approach. There are other approaches to take, and I think that having people care about animal rights is it's important. Making progress, and
Yeah, and I agree. I agree with all of that. I think
yeah,
different approaches work for different people, stuff like that. But
yeah.
I'm just curious about that. Like, would you say if somebody calls themselves animal rights sorry, a human rights advocate, but they support some sort of human slavery and Holocaust, do you think that that would make sense?
Well, no, it wouldn't make sense. But I mean, we don't eat humans, right? No one does that.
Yeah. Okay.
The
Yeah.
only
So
reason, the only reason why I am uh, eating animals is because it's like I say, I am under the poverty line. I have nutritional needs that that would not I would not benefit from eating humans, and nor would I. Like it's kind of getting back into other things. But I definitely, like I say, I think I really appreciate what you guys are doing. I do appreciate veganism, and a lot of people don't. They do not actually think about how vegans actually do a lot for animal rights, and that's a fair thing to say, you know. So it vegans are actually doing good work. But I
Awesome, man.
disagree.
I
I think that
appreciate it. And
yeah,
and and
absolutely.
and,
But
and,
I
and about
yeah,
about the animal rights thing, I think if you don't think it makes much sense for a human to call somebody to call themselves a human rights advocate and support some sort of human holocaust, I don't think it really makes sense either to call yourself an animal rights advocate. Well, you might advocate for certain rights, but you're certainly not advocating for the right to life, not to be enslaved, for example. Uh,
that would be more of a vegan opinion, like we said before. Eh? Like I'm not a vegan. I'm an animal rights activist. I'm not going the full way that you are, but I am definitely on the path. And I think that it's important that
awesome.
people are that because that way, like I say, not every like we don't live in a perfect world, and because of that, we have to. There's a spectrum. There's subtlety, and there's subtlety and there's complexity. And you know, you're more kind of higher up that spectrum than I am. It doesn't necessarily like, and I think your approach is extremely valid, and it's probably like, in terms of the power of it, that's very, very valid. But I think that also a more subtle approach is very valid in terms of gaining animal rights ultimately and advancing that because it's a very hard thing to do. Like, let's be realistic, it's a very difficult task, and you know, because most people are, I mean, a lot of people don't even care about humans, let alone animals that they're eating, right? So we have to kind of think about this from a perspective as a like an attack. I know that you are very much, you're very empowered and you are very driven, and that's great, and you should keep that up. But it's like different approaches at the end of the day, and like it's impossible for you to see that because you are very much so on board with your specific path, which is very important. Like I said, ultimately in the real world, different approaches will be better because it will reach more people. We have to just
Yeah,
agree to
thank
disagree on that.
Yeah, thank you, man. I don't disagree with any of that. I just wanted to say that you kept making the claim that the vegan diets are expensive. I think that's just an empirical claim. There's actually some research that
My
you
sister
can
would
save.
argue against you
Yeah,
because
but
of the
there's
fact that
actually
she, yeah.
it depends on what she was buying, like obviously, but that you could actually save some money by being vegan. There's actually some actual research on this. But
I have tried it, my friend. I have, and in terms of the beans, especially, like there's certain nutritional needs that I have that have to be met. And the thing is that I will sacrifice animal life to get those nutritional needs. That's basically what I am at the end of the day. That's
yeah, but
I'm
I would
somebody who's
say
willing to. I'm an animal. I
yeah, but
myself am an animal.
you would sacrifice a little extra money for to save humans. I would just say why
We're
don't
talking about a
animals
lot
matter
of
that
money
much?
here,
But yeah,
man. Like we're talking about immense amounts of money. Like the amount of money I would have to spend to eat. My sister couldn't even do it, and she makes like you know 6 or 7 times, six or maybe like 4 or 5 times more than what I make. And what's the odds that I'm going to be able to do it? You know, like it's impossible. Like it's just not possible in terms of the first world. Like I live in Canada, the food here is so a price, like it's ridiculous. I spend the amount of money I spend on food that other people are spending on the exact same type of food is like literally maybe 20 or 50 times more.
I
Like
don't
I
know.
said, if
So
I lived in this other place, then I would probably become a vegan. Sure.
yeah, I'm just saying like look into that. Like if you're saying if what you're claiming is true, then it would be an extra inconvenience. I agree, but if it turns out not to be true, then you could go vegan, and I hope it turns out not to be true. Like I
Fair,
for example,
fair.
I
That's very
personally
fair.
I'm a broke college student. I've been
Yeah,
vegan for 7 years.
yeah.
So, but yeah, but anyway, man,
I'm pretty
thanks for
broke
the
as it
question.
is. I got health problems too. Like I got asthma and I have to pay for filters for this illness. So it's like I have extra costs that are very expensive. Along with a vegan diet would completely put me over the edge, and I'd have
Yes,
to make a choice between
sorry to hear that, man.
yeah,
Hope your
it's
health problems get better, and a
yeah,
vegan diet it could turn out to save you some money, but again that
potentially,
is
possibly,
it. Yeah, yeah, and it could turn out being better for your health long term and prevent certain diseases like a lot of the deadliest diseases like heart disease, diabetes, certain types of cancers, they all can be attributed to animal based diets
Mostly red
like
meat.
red
Mostly
meat and
red
stuff
meat.
like that.
I don't.
Yeah.
I only eat mostly just chicken and fish.
Okay, man. But anyway, thanks for the
Uh,
conversation.
that's a great conversation. Thank you both, and keep on fighting. Keep on doing what you're doing because it is definitely helping animal rights, and you're very important. It's very important, and vegans. People do need to take vegans more seriously. I've learned that from this conversation. So thank you.
I appreciate you saying
Thank
that
you, my friend.
because a lot of people don't appreciate us. They don't take us seriously. We're speaking up for a little animal holocaust, the most oppressed, ignored, abused animals in history, like
Yep.
including human animals. But
Yep.
non-human animals are the most oppressed and ignored. So thank you for acknowledging. But like I
Very
said,
true.
go watch Earthlings and visit a vegan sanctuary and Earthlings, it might change your opinion because you might learn a lot of things that
Hmm.
you might not want to keep supporting and stop eating chickens, the most abused land animal, and fish, the most sea animal that's abused.
Great.
So yeah,
I'll
go watch.
definitely. I will look into that.
Yeah, and go tell your no longer eating a plant-based diet person. You said sister, was it?
Sister.
Or
Yeah,
who?
sister.
Yeah, yeah. Go watch it with your sister. Yeah, so she learns about it too because she probably doesn't know what she's supporting. And remember, it's not a diet. It's just being against animal abuse with actions, not just words, and not buying anything that comes from from an animal. In cosmetics, and anything that involves animal abuse.
Sure.
So yeah, thank you for the conversation. It was interesting.
Fruitful.
All right. Have a good day, night, whatever it is.
Take care.
Take care.
All right.